Think back to the late 80s and the entire stretch of the 90s, when a walk past any suburban strip mall almost guaranteed a neon sign that read "Karate" in big block letters. Back then, you could flip through TV channels and catch a rerun of The Karate Kid or Bloodsport, see cereal commercials featuring kids in white karate suit, and read about local tournaments in the community paper every other week.
He's a honeycomb kid, giving his best shot.
Honeycomb bait! How about some big, delicious honeycomb?
Big, crunchy honeycomb cereal, part of this nutritious breakfast.
National participation reports from the Sports and Fitness Industry Association tell the same story in numbers. Almost 2 million American adults were actively enrolled in karate programs during the mid-90s. At the time, karate felt not just mainstream but almost mandatory if you wanted your child, or yourself, to experience a structured, disciplined hobby that mixed fitness with a pinch of cultural mystique. Fast forward to the present, and the situation is very different. Most beginner lineups on any weekday evening are packed with grade schoolers. Adults are scarce, and when you ask why, the answers often boil down to three themes. They moved on to mixed martial arts, they never saw a future beyond the colored belt ritual, or they simply lost interest the moment full-contact reality shows appeared on television.
Wow, what's that aftershave you're wearing?
New high karate aftershave is so powerful, it drives women right out of their minds. That's why we have to put instructions on self-defense in every package. High karate, the brisk splash-on aftershave that smooths and soothes and cools.
The first big reason is the rise of mixed martial arts itself. When the early UFC events hit pay-per-view, spectators finally saw practitioners from multiple backgrounds facing continuous, full-power pressure. Traditional point sparring, which interrupts after each clean touch, suddenly looked less convincing. A wrestler could clinch, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu player could drag opponents to the mat, and the rule set didn't call time after every exchange. As a result, the stylistic showdown many karate black belts expected to dominate ended poorly for them in those formative years. Viewers quickly concluded that skills tested under live fire conditions, where hits are delivered until a referee steps in, are more transferable to real-world confrontations. A generation of potential students who might have chosen a white belt in karate instead flocked to grappling or hybrid striking classes, convinced that continuous contact formats delivered proof instead of promises.
See explosive new Brazilian sensation Vitor Belfort take on local champ Scott the Pitbull Barroso. Judgment Day has arrived and the ultimate power has been unleashed. Two-time UFC champion Mark the Hammer Coleman.
Media dynamics compounded that shift. During the movie boom, karate thrived because the art had high visibility ambassadors, even if those ambassadors were actors. When those films faded and streaming algorithms began rewarding short viral clips, karate did not keep pace. Point sparring highlight reels rarely crack the trending tab because the exchanges end so abruptly that a casual viewer can't register what happened. Meanwhile, a clean knockout in an MMA bout can loop for 6 seconds and tell an entire story. In an ecosystem where attention spans have tightened, karate's stop-and-start rhythm struggles to compete. TikTok and Instagram reels favor explosive visuals with immediate outcomes, and boxing or MMA provides them on demand. Rules and penalties inside the sport create another hurdle. The clearest illustration came during the men's heavyweight final at the Tokyo Olympics. Many viewers remember the Saudi athlete Tariq Hamedi landing what looked like the perfect roundhouse knockout, only to be disqualified seconds later because the judges deemed his technique excessively forceful for a point-based contest. For someone flipping channels and catching that moment live, the takeaway was confusing. A perfectly executed kick earned applause, then immediate elimination. Incidents like that may be rare, but they dominate highlight packages and reinforce the idea that karate punishes the exact excitement mainstream viewers crave. Organizational fragmentation drives the third obstacle. More than 100 national or style-based federations run their own championships, grading standards, and marketing campaigns. No single entity functions as a brand anchor the way the UFC does for MMA. When a business-minded sponsor wants to bet on combat sports, the UFC offers unified rules, guaranteed star power, and a standard global broadcast schedule. Karate, by contrast, requires sponsors to navigate a maze of acronyms, each insisting on slightly different corner flags, belt colors, and point systems. That complexity discourages investment, which then limits prize money, which in turn pushes ambitious athletes toward formats with clearer earning paths. Speaking of athletes, most of karate's talent pool starts younger than 12. Multiple industry surveys confirm that between 70 and 80% of new enrollees are children, yet fewer than 1 in 10 continue past their high school years. Life becomes crowded with college schedules, part-time jobs, and social commitments, but the underlying pattern is simpler. Teenagers seldom remain interested when full-contact combat sports feel more rewarding and relevant. Many karate programs emphasize kata repetition and controlled drills for years before permitting sustained sparring, which delays the visceral feedback loop adolescents associate with real fighting ability. When they visit a mixed martial arts gym, one that hands out 15-ounce gloves, encourages live grappling from day one, and reminds them there is an amateur cage league waiting if they stick around, they often switch without looking back. Cultural norms inside traditional dojos present yet another barrier for adults. Bowing, kneeling meditation, and Japanese terminology add atmosphere, but they also leave newcomers guessing which phrase to repeat or how long to stay in Caesar before the instructor nods. People who dropped into a lunchtime class for straightforward self-defense often feel self-conscious when they realize they're expected to memorize Japanese etiquette before they can learn a basic guard pass or straight punch with full resistance. In contrast, boxing gyms let new members put on hand wraps and shadow box within minutes. Brazilian jiu-jitsu academies pair beginners with senior students for positional drilling almost immediately. Karate's formality isn't negative in itself, it fosters discipline and respect, but the lack of explanatory context can feel like being handed a manual in a foreign language on day one.
Hello, I'm John Graydon, and I'd like to invite you to come see our USA Karate Studios in the Tyrone Garden Shopping Plaza, 9th Avenue North and 58th Street. With 2 workout areas, a fitness room, and a complete video training system, the students at USA Karate enjoy some of the finest facilities in Florida. As winners of the best school in Florida, best demonstration team, the staff at USA Karate is dedicated to providing you with top quality instruction in a comfortable atmosphere. Hit it, guys! USA Stay!
Training methodology closes the loop on these perception issues. Sports science literature over the last decade consistently shows that skills practiced against resisting partners transfer more reliably to live performance. A 2022 review in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine quantified that effect. Athletes who spent at least 40% of training time in live exchanges retained timing accuracy at more than double the rate of peers who relied on static drills. Many traditional karate classes still devote the majority of their hours to line work and solo forms, leaving limited time for controlled yet competitive sparring with genuine impacts. Critics watching from the outside seize on that imbalance, arguing that karate's toolkit looks effective only when opponents cooperate. Whether that critique is entirely fair or not, the prevailing perception sticks. Economic realities accelerate the decline in elite participation. To illustrate, a gold medal at the World Karate Championships pays roughly $10,000, and that event takes place every 2 years. By comparison, a newcomer to the UFC currently earns about $12,000 to show and another $12,000 to win, with the possibility of 3 appearances in a single calendar year plus performance bonuses. Even regional professional MMA promotions often exceed the total annual purse available to most full-contact karate tournaments. Given that combat sport careers are short and physically demanding, talented strikers follow the money, leaving the traditional circuit without headline-worthy athletes who can inspire the next wave of students. Yet, it would be inaccurate to claim that karate techniques no longer matter. Several prominent mixed martial arts fighters credit their success to foundations laid in traditional dojos. Former light heavyweight champion Lyoto Machida drew on Shotokan timing and angles to secure his title run. Welterweight veteran Wonderboy Thompson uses a classical side stance and linear kicks to control distance against pressure fighters. Featherweight striker Giga Chikadze adapted Kyokushin roots into a kickboxing-heavy approach that earned him performance bonuses. The common thread is adaptation. Each athlete supplemented karate with wrestling defense, clinch work, and modern strength and conditioning protocols. These examples prove that karate's core mechanics remain valid when they are pressure tested and integrated into a broader game plan. Reversing karate's popularity slide therefore requires more than nostalgia. Modernizing the rule set to allow continuous engagement without destroying the art's technical identity would make matches easier to follow for spectators. A unified professional league, even on a modest scale, could centralize media rights and establish consistent highlight reels for social platforms. Instructors willing to shorten the ritual learning curve for adult beginners, perhaps by introducing a clear 12-week curriculum that culminates in controlled full full-contact sparring would offer a tangible goal, similar to the first amateur MMA bout. Finally, cross-training exchanges with judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and boxing academies could demonstrate functional overlap and end the isolation that fuels outdated stereotypes. Karate's present challenges are undeniably tied to the way audiences now consume combat sports. They prioritize visible effectiveness, streamlined narratives, and opportunities for athletes to earn viable incomes. None of those criteria contradict karate's foundational principles of discipline, respect, and self-improvement. They simply highlight areas where the delivery mechanism no longer meets contemporary expectations. By acknowledging market realities, refining competitive formats, and embracing transparent communication online, karate can reposition itself as a relevant choice rather than a nostalgic relic. If those steps sound ambitious, remember that the combat sports landscape shifted once already when the first UFC event redefined what spectators believed martial arts could look like. A coordinated update could shift opinion again. The techniques are still sound. What needs adjustment is the packaging, the pacing, and the pathway for committed adults who want both cultural depth and practical competence. Should those adjustments take hold, the picture of tomorrow's strip mall may once again feature a neon sign that reads "Karate," not as a museum piece, but as a thriving option that stands shoulder to shoulder with MMA gyms and boxing clubs in the eyes of a new generation.